Okay, let's look at these other voices. I've got labels up here. I have hi-hat, ride, kick, and basal. So let's unmute the hi-hat down here and see what's happening. So what do I have here? I've got a trigger. So this is the same comparator that's receiving the value from caudal. When it's over 0 volts, it goes over, or when it's under, it triggers this here, right? But then that is going into Bernoulli gate, which we've seen before. And I've got that set to basically 50% probability. So which means like out of all the times that this trigger comes in, 50% of the time it will actually output a trigger on side A here to trigger the hi-hat. So this is from Hora. A lot of great there's a lot of great percussive sounds, other kind of mixer type of things, some other like effects, vacuum tube effects and things. So definitely check those out. With this, so we've got a closed hat and an open hi-hat. And so it actually has 2 different triggers that you could trigger. If I put actually trigger on the other side. So this open one sounds differently. It's a little more open sounding, right? So I am triggering that one. You can play with decay, pitch. I'm also modulating the character here, which is just kind of like shaping it like subtly. The outputs here, so I've got the hi-hat being output. Metal is that. Noise is just good old noise. So we're just doing the hi-hat for now. And to get some more variation, I also have this accent being triggered. So what happens with this Bernoulli gate, I've got the input trigger coming in here. And so we've actually got 2 different gates. What happens is when there's a trigger that's coming in, the top one, it gets what's called normalized to the bottom. So even though I don't have an input down here, it's the same input that's coming up here. But it gets processed in the same way. So there's like a separate random probability calculation. This one I have another like 50%. So 50% of the time this will light up on A. So what happens, sometimes only the trigger will light up. If trigger and accent light up, then it's going to be a louder sound. So just adding a little variation to the volume of that. So what makes this sound cool is reverb, of course. There we go. Put it through the delay. Let's do maybe like a lot on the delay. Let's do like some of that flame. Okay, so it sounds like with the flame I can hear there's a little slightly crunchier sound to it. Okay, there we go. So with the delay times being modulated here, that's what's causing the kind of pitch change. Okay, I like it. Here is the loop controlling, so caudal controlling the chronoblob. So let's look at that. This next one, with the ride, let's just mute this, go back to ride. And this one I wanted to happen a little more sparsely, so I set threshold much higher. So this is going to be over that much more rarely. And then, so the way the AutoDAF modules work, if we look at AutoDAF right here, we've got various percussive instrument, rim, claves, close hi-hats, open hi-hats, kick cymbals, ride, clap, snare, and then a mixer. These are samples. So these are sampled from famous instruments like 808, 909, all these different things, DMX. These are kind of historical sampler machines that those sounds have been digitized in these modules. So I kind of just like the CR78 module here, going through the filter. So that's kind of cool. I as always, let's just kind of like, cool, okay. And for the kick here, so everything else is very just kind of like, you know, very artsy. It's not regular at all. It's very random. This is the regular kind of thing. You can see the trigger coming here. It's like a very regular clock, and let's hear it. Okay, it's very low. I've got the cutoff here being modulated by caudal. So it kind of comes up and down. Let's boost this a little bit so I can hear that a little bit better. So the LFO is functioning like a clock. You know, with the square wave, we can just kind of see. That's a clock, right? That's exactly what a clock does. So you don't need to have that, you know, those other clock modules. So you can do it however you wish. Definitely, like with these Autodaf ones, it's fun to just kind of play around different sounds. Mini poops. So I just kind of like the 808. It's just a little bit softer. And for this one, I didn't want to go through reverb at all, but I was kind of doing a little flame. Actually, a lot of flame. Kind of adds a little gnarly thing to it. Not so much chorus, though. I think that's all I want to add for that one. And then the last little bit here is two basal oscillators. One is an octave below the other, so I don't have any V octave, so it's just a middle C is what it's set to. And the tuning is slightly off, so that creates a little wobbly feeling. And then the caudal coming in here is determining the level. So what I wanted to do, I actually got this going through an offset, so the caudal is going +5 to -5, right? But to modify these levels, I wanted it to be basically 0 to 10 instead, or around that at least. So I just used this offset by Bog Audio, and I'm offsetting it by 4 volts. Right, so before it looked like this, right? So +5 down to -5, and I just kind of boosted it up, something like that, right? And that's going in here, panning left, right. And this also is a pretty subtle thing. Let's add some reverb. Lots of chorus. Okay. Let's hear it all together. Okay, so another kind of generative, kind of ambient-ish thing, a little bit more of like a, you know, avant-garde experimental feel to it. But with just these other tools, you know, definitely with the mix master and this idea of aux sends, I think that opens up a lot of new techniques that you can play with.